gender equality consultant. Julie, thank you so much for your time. What do you make of the idea in Portugal?
Thanks for having me on the show. I think it's a very positive move for employees' well-being that they are able to have the right to rest, as it says. And our 24/7 culture is going to get a bit of a stopgap in Portugal for people to be able to switch off. I think it's significant that this is that the emphasis is on bosses and on team leaders here to take responsibility for not contacting their staff, because the power dynamics there for a more junior member of staff receiving something from their boss, you often feel as though you need to respond to it straight away. You know they are your manager or the boss. So it takes away the potential for that even to come to your phone. So it feels like a very positive move to me.
Yeah, there have been plenty of other companies that have tried to find some sort of improved work-life balance for their employees. Just last week, a London financial firm decided that it's now going to give all of its employees unlimited leave. They can take as much leave as they want. But the problem is other companies that have done that have found that actually employees take less leave. So what is it? Are we guilty as employees of trying to satisfy our bosses too much?
It's a really interesting question. There's something for a psychologist to answer here, I think, and I'm not one. But I think that there is something about that 24/7 being on culture and our sort of tendency to overwork, if we are allowed to do so, that relates to what you've just mentioned there about people not taking as much leave as even they're entitled to do so. So there's something about a company culture or even sort of national culture where we need to be able to slow down and make it normal for people to have time off and normal for people not to be attached to their workplaces at all hours. And I think that's a really big cultural shift piece of work, especially given how we've all depended upon technology, brilliantly so in terms of how we've had to manage during the pandemic. But the outcome of that has been the dependency upon technology at the cost perhaps of our own well-being. So there are big conversations, I think, to be had around the culture of a workplace in order to encourage people to take that time that is theirs.
Yeah, do you think that actually stress for employees has increased since so many people around the world have been working from home? There's a dating app, I won't say the name because it's not really important, but it has its offices in London. In June, it closed its offices for an entire week because it wanted to combat work-related stress. Employees literally weren't allowed to come in. But in terms of work from home, has that increased stress over the past almost 2 years now, do you think?
I think it has. For a lot of people, what we're hearing is the inability to switch off has been made harder because your work has been in your home, whereas quite previously people had been separating that out and being able to separate it out. I guess it's also we need to take care not to overgeneralize. I've also heard people telling me that actually their work-life balance has improved during the pandemic because they haven't got an hour's commute to get into an office, and that hour can be used with their family, or it can be used, going on a bike ride or whatever it is. So I guess we don't want to be overgeneralizing, but I think also it would be bizarre if we were not more stressed as a result of being within a global pandemic, and we don't know what's happening day by day. We certainly didn't do for some time. And so I think that also is going to have impacted, obviously, on people's well-being and our stress, on top of then trying to get our jobs done and find new ways of working really rapidly. So I think it has, like the company you mentioned, and I've seen other companies do that, offer more kind of well-being days, time off days, just in order to support workers to manage some of that work-life balance and get some balance back, actually, that perhaps they've lost.
Would you be surprised if other countries, followed Portugal's suit? Look, I say this as a big fan of the Mediterranean, lived in Italy for almost 20 years. Because those countries, Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, they have coastlines along the Med. They have a slightly different working culture to, say, for example, Japan, where I believe, and it's not 100% confirmed, but I'm pretty sure that they get something like 3 days of leave every year because the work culture is so different to other countries. Do you think Portugal may be setting an example that could be followed by others?
That's an extraordinary figure about Japan. I didn't know that. That really is, yeah, extraordinary. I think it would be brilliant to see other countries consider what is appropriate for their culture. As you've mentioned there, some countries' cultures can be very different. So I think it would be appropriate for places to consider what might work here, what would people do here, what would people accept and kind of be okay with at the same time as helping to manage that work-life balance. So I would like to see other countries consider it. I think we know, most kind of countries in the sort of modern world are people feel overwhelmed. If you're an office worker, if you're using tech all of the time, then there is that sense of overwhelm. So it would be great if others did take a look at what might work within their context, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, within 5 minutes of waking up, I'm looking at my work emails. Oh, dear. Julie,
Yeah.
thank you so much indeed. Really appreciate it. Julie Scanlon.